folks. Welcome to the College Football Tonight here on Herb FM Radio, and we have Paul Rodgers, the voice of the Louisville Cardinals, and the Cardinals are rolling to Tallahassee this week to face a Seminole squad that's been, not struggling, but trying to get their offense together, and they're taking on a Louisville squad that lost two in a row. So, Paul, thanks for joining us tonight. Let's talk about Louisville losing the last two games against NC State, a tough one on a Thursday night, and at Boston College. What do they got to have to do this week against a Seminole squad?
They need to learn how to tackle again. It's been a Louisville team that has just given up tons of yardage and points this year, way more than they have in recent years and way more than they anticipated. The offense, while it's been productive statistically, even they have not been as smooth functioning as usual. But still, they're putting up nearly 40 points per game, and that should be enough to win games. But right now, they're really struggling on the defensive side. And that's what the primary emphasis is this week, to shore up the defense and go to face a Florida State team, which is struggling offensively in uncharacteristic fashion this year. So it's kind of an intriguing matchup.
Yeah, Florida State losing Francois and now Blackman is the quarterback. I had a chance to see them last week down at Duke, and it looked like they got the running game together. So that's one of the things that Bobby Petrino needs to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and their quarterback has done a nice job in getting better each game. In fact, he was in a quarterback camp here at Louisville a number of years ago, and Coach Petrino is familiar with him. But right now, I think with a freshman quarterback, it's the first one they've had, first true freshman. Jameis Winston was redshirt, and so was Francois. It's the first true freshman starting quarterback they've had in a while. And anytime you're in that situation, you need some other guys to carry the load. And so I think that's what Florida State is relying on, and Louisville wants to make as difficult as they can on him.
And Lamar Jackson, do you think that a lot of these teams are now getting the chance to know how to stop him after seeing him last year and how he ran through most of the ACC with his legs and now with his arm?
Not really. I mean, while Louisville as a team certainly does not have the pizzazz they had last year, if you look at Jackson, believe it or not, his total offensive yardage per game is even more than last year. He put up 5 touchdowns last week, ran for, I think it was 180 or so. He's passed for over 300 in almost every game. The only games he didn't pass for over 300 were their wins over lightweight Kent State and Murray State, and he only played about half those games. So he is still putting up sensational numbers. But unfortunately, going into the season, my thoughts were that Lamar would put up a little bit lower numbers, but Louisville would be better overall, and that hasn't been the case. They've still had to rely too much on Lamar Jackson. He's a brilliant player. He's done everything he can do, but he needs some help.
When Cardinals went to NC State on that Thursday night, was the crowd noise and all that stuff, was that a little more that Lamar had a problem with, or was it the Wolfpack defense?
No, I think it was their defense more than anything. It was a lively crowd. They were geared up for that. North Carolina State went into the season thinking that this was their breakthrough year, and right now it looks like they were right. And it was a Thursday night game. Last year they got buried by Louisville, and they were all in. So it was an enthusiastic crowd. It was a great atmosphere, but I really don't think that was the problem as much as just how well they played defensively.
Yeah. Well, Louisville lost 9 straight in Tallahassee. What's been the biggest problem for you? Because you're on the broadcast side. Why is it Louisville can't win in Tallahassee?
Well, a lot of those games were a number of years ago when Florida State was just way, way better. They had better athletes. They were faster. I can remember a game a number of years ago where Louisville actually played pretty well down there and still got beat fairly decisively, and you could see the difference. Louisville would run a play. This is back when they were in the Conference USA, and they would run a play, and at the snap, you would say, wow, this play got a chance to be successful, and then Florida State speed would just completely wipe it out. Now, Louisville is more competitive from that standpoint. They have lost, they've only played once down there as members of the ACC, and I don't remember the exact score, but it was a fairly convincing win for Florida State, but they had one big quarter. Louisville actually led at halftime and played pretty well and had it all the third quarter. So I think the history is not real relevant because I think Louisville is at a much different level now than they were when many of those previous games were played. They did, oddly enough, play not frequently, but quite a few times before Louisville joined the ACC.
Right. And talk about it says Patrick and Jalen Smith. I guess Jackson has found some wide receivers this year.
No doubt, Jalen Smith is a big play guy, and Louisville's counting on him heavily. And in the first 3 games, he had almost 300 yards receiving, and then got hurt in that third game and missed the next few games, and just did come back this past week and actually played very well, although then he lost a late fumble, which led to the winning field goal at Boston College. While he has been out, Fitzpatrick has just been a beast. He's been a terrific freshman performer. He has 7 touchdowns, which ties the freshman record at Louisville. He's very athletic. He's made some great catches, and he's a big-time receiver. And I think if Jalen Smith, now that he has a game under his belt and is confident that he's okay, just as with Jair Alexander, their All-American cornerback, who got hurt in the first game, and now he is back and has played a game, and I think he knows that, okay, I can hold up, I'm okay. So I think when you put those ingredients together, maybe Louisville is set to play some better football here at the end, or the last half of the season.
Yeah. Well, Paul, I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you joining me on a Wednesday night here, and have safe travels to Tallahassee, and hopefully you guys have a good game, better than last week with Boston College.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. My pleasure. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you so much. That's Paul Rodgers, the voice of the Louisville Cardinals football, and we'll be right back here on Herb FM Sports Radio. All right. Folks, welcome back to the College Football Tonight here on Herb FM Radio. We have Gary Hahn, the voice of the NC State Wolfpack, and this week they have a bye week after last week's big win over Pitt. So, Gary, thanks for joining us tonight. Just talk about this week. You guys have a bye week, and next week you guys are taking on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in South Bend. So, what do you think is going? What is the team working on this week?
Mm-hmm. And usually when you have a bye week, you work on 2 things. You work on fundamentals, and then you work on the next opponent, and you try to get a head start. So I would assume that that's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, just talk about the season so far. You guys are doing really well. The team's doing really well. Had some big games, big wins over Louisville and all that stuff. And now the second half of the season, you guys have a big game coming up against Clemson. So that could be for the winner to go into Charlotte. So this has been a fantastic season for you guys.
able to beat Florida State, and the Wolfpack able to do that. You got to be able to get past Louisville, and the Pack was able to do that. And the third domino is Clemson, and that's coming up on November the 4th. But before that, there's a game with nationally ranked Notre Dame, and this is a team that's very senior-laden and very much sticks to its business, doesn't look ahead. So I don't think this team's even thinking about Clemson. It's thinking about Notre Dame and playing at Notre Dame, which is a first for the NC State program. Notre Dame came to Raleigh last year and played in the rainstorm, and NC State won that game basically by blocking a punt and returning it into the end zone. So Notre Dame remembers that. They're going to be ready. And for the Wolfpack players, growing up as a kid, you always see games on television regarding Notre Dame. They're one of the biggest tradition-wise programs in America. So playing up there would be a big thrill. I think this team will be ready.
And I think it's also be a big thrill for you to broadcast from that, famous football stadium too, right?
Well, yeah, I've been up there. I've done a few basketball games up there because they do play an ACC schedule, and I've done baseball up there, so I'm familiar with the area and the surroundings up there. But I've never been inside the football stadium, so yeah, it's going to be a big thrill. I'm interested to see what it looks like from what I haven't already seen on television, like inside the press box and around the stadium and things like that.
Yeah. Well, talk about last year's game. It was in a big. It was during a hurricane. I think it was like Hurricane Matthew rolling up the coast, pretty much. So everybody in North Carolina got stuck with that heavy rain and all that stuff. And you said, that game was sloppy. Do you think, what did NC State learn about Notre Dame on that day besides the weather?
Well, I don't think anybody learned much of anything because you could barely hold on to the football, so you could hardly run it, you could hardly throw it. And like I say, it came down to NC State blocking a punt. Dexter Wright came up with the ball, scored the game-winning touchdown, returning that blocked punt. So it was pretty much a mess. It was hard to see the field that day. It was hard to see exactly what was going on. We did the best we could to call it. The players did the best they could to play it, but I'm not sure either team learned that much about one another last year. I think they're going to learn a lot more on October the 28th.
Yeah, talk about a little bit early about Notre Dame. I think they have Winbush as the quarterback, and plus they have a backup quarterback that's pretty well too. So Winbush should be the one starting, but you never know. You might bring in Book. It might be a quarterback as well.
I know absolutely nothing about Notre Dame. I haven't even looked at them yet. This is an off week, and like I say, to keep my sanity, I just pretty much get away from football, get away from everything.
Yeah.
Because I do not only football, but basketball and baseball. So when I get a chance to get a few days off, I just get away from everything. But I'll start working on them come Sunday or maybe Monday.
Okay. Well, Gary, I know you're a busy guy. Thanks for taking some time off for your to join us on your bye week, and good luck and safe travels to South Bend next week.
Sure. Thank you very much. Pleasure being with you.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Gary Hahn, the voice of the NC State Wolfpack. We'll be right back here on Herb FM Radio. right, folks, welcome back to the College Football Tonight here on Herb FM Radio. Let's give you the rest of the schedule tonight. Joe DiPaola from Pittsburgh Tribune-Review will be on at 7 o'clock, and then Lou Somogyi from the Blue and Gold Illustrated, the Fighting Irish Notre Dame, he goes to them from Rivals.com, will be on at 7:15. Bob Black, the voice of the Richmond Spiders, will be on at 7:30 to talk about Richmond taking on Delaware this week, and that's where Herb FM Radio will be making their road trip up to Delaware for that game. 7:45, we'll have the Commissioner Joe D'Antonio with us on the phone. We'll talk to him about his second year as Commissioner of this fine league in the CAA. And then at 8 o'clock, Geno Miller, who is from Port Washington, Maryland, will be on the show. We'll talk to him about taking on Towson this week up at home game against Towson. And Jay Colley, the voice of the Wayne and Mary football, will be on at 8:15. And then Kelly Quinlan, the Georgia Tech writer for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, will talk to him about how they're going to recover against losing to Miami last week after they were leading against the Canes, and also the rain came and kind of destroyed everything. Well, we're going to play an interview we did this week. We talked to Gary Helton, Clay Helton, not Gary Helton. That's a guy at WHSC up in Hartford Community College. Clay Helton, I guess he's related to him. Anyway, so we talked to Coach Helton about playing Notre Dame this week because USC is rolling into Notre Dame, and that's a big game on prime time, 7:30 on Saturday night on NBC. So we'll hopefully have some voice, Brian Kelly. You can join us every Wednesday, during the week here on Herb FM Radio on Speaker.com. We have interviews with people like Brian Kelly of Notre Dame, Dabo Sweeney. We have that on the site right now. I talked to him this afternoon about his trip to Alabama, and also Jimbo Fisher as well. We talk to him every Monday on their teleconference call. So first up, we'll talk to Clay Helton right now here on Herb FM.
Hi, Coach Helton. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Talk about your defense. You guys last week had a very good goal line stance on that 2-point conversion against Utah. Is that something you guys are going to hopefully carry over with your defense against a very good Irish squad?
Well, I thought it was a great job by Clancy. We knew that was kind of the ball game right there, that one play, and we had one time out in our pocket. Knew that if they did score, you had a 2-minute drive, but really that was the play of the game. It was going to go one way or the other, and so we used our time out there. We wanted to discuss exactly the plan, communicate it with our players. We had the opportunity to see personnel grouping and formation, and kind of just go through what we were trying to get done. Great call by Clancy. We expected maybe a play that we had seen earlier in the season, and got that call, and had the perfect defense called, and the kids executed it very well, and you hope that carries over, yes, to other games. That confidence of being able to stop people in that tight red zone, that's a valuable thing to be able to do on your team, and our defense has done it several times this year for us. I remember Texas, in that game in overtime, us inside the 5 and finding a way to rip a ball out from the quarterback and get a turnover. So that bend but no break defense is a valuable thing.
And last time I talked to you a couple of years ago, you faced Notre Dame in South Bend, and that was your first or second game as a coach at USC. What have you learned about your squad since then?
I think just the resiliency of this squad and how they stay poised and calm no matter what the situation. I've seen them several times in very close, tight ball games. Just have a sense of calm about them. About just hey, let's be accountable to each other and let's be accountable to do our job and to execute. And I thought that was a great example last week in the second half. Even though we were down at home, all of a sudden those kids just rallied around each other and said, hey, let's be accountable. Let's make our play to win the game. And there was no sense of panic, no sense of non-poise. But that's one of the things that has been a trademark for this football team over this run that we've had. I think the last 16 games or 15-1, and some of those games we've had to show some really great poise. I think is the word I would use to be able to pull games out. And
Well, good luck this week, and safe travels to South Bend.
Thank you, sir.
All right, folks, welcome back. That was Clay Helton, the head coach of USC Trojans. They're going to be playing against Notre Dame this Saturday night. You can watch that game at 7:30 right here. Not right here, but on NBC. I wish we have it right here. That'd be great. Yeah, we can get a lot of listeners for that. Well, we're going to, coming up at 7 o'clock in a couple minutes, Jerry DiPaola from the Pittsburgh Tribune will be on the phone. We'll talk about what's going on with the Pittsburgh Panthers, 2-5, 0-3 in the ACC, and they are heading down the road to Durham this week to take on Duke, where we were last week. So we're going to talk to him, see what's going on with the Pitt Panthers, who just lost their quarterback from October 7th. Max Brown is out for the season due to a injury sustained against Syracuse. So we'll talk about him about that. Plus, what do they got to do? Against their Panthers are 2-0 and down there in Durham. So we're going to take a. Thanks for tuning us in here on Speaker.com. We are live on a laptop tonight because we're going to try to see how it sounds. So if you're listening to us right now, if you like to call us around any time tonight, if you want to, if we have some openings, we'll have the phone lines open, or you could text us right now if you're listening to us and you have a question about college football in the ACC and the CAA or Notre Dame, whatever. You could text us at 443-567-0746. So we're taking a break right now, and we'll get Jerry on the line. Jerry DiPaola from the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review on Herb FM Sports Radio. folks, welcome back. We're waiting for Jerry DiPaola to give us a call. Right now, we're going to play some post-game interviews from last Saturday's Florida State Duke game. The Seminoles beat the Blue Devils by a score of 17-10, and we have Javon James on the phone on the recording, and also Patrick, the running back for the Noles, who are now 2-3 on the year. So hopefully you folks enjoyed that. So Rick, let's talk about today's performance, because I know last week with that tough loss to Miami on that last play, what was the feeling like around practice this week, getting ready for this game against a good Duke team?
Yeah, I mean it was a tough loss losing to Miami, but we had to tip our cap to them. I mean we fought hard, they fought hard. We just ran out of time, but so I mean practice was real good, energy was really good. We were ready to come out and play, and I think we played pretty well.
And you're a kid from Maryland, so how did Florida State get on your radar?
Florida State got on my radar basically by my coach.
Okay.
Coach Lanat, back in high school, he's not the head coach at Middletown anymore, but he still helps out. Coach Lanat really just sending my tape out. My father went to Florida State, so when he asked me for the schools that I was interested in, that was one of them. He was just like, where do you want me to send it? So I said, just shoot big.
Yeah.
And they answered.
Well, talk about your high school days at Middletown. What did you like about playing there, and did it help you play here?
Yeah, I loved playing at Middletown. I mean, we won. I never lost a game in high school. 28 straight, 2 state championships. They're all about toughness, effort, and pride, and I mean, that's what it is, and that's what you need at the college level, and that's what a lot of guys don't get in high school so much because of how their high school program operates. But we were a real smash mouth, running at you, real tough, no tricks, just square up and play football.
Yeah. And I know this is probably the end of the year question, but what's life for you after playing here? Do you want to move on to the NFL, or do you want to?
Of course, Of course, that's a goal of mine.
Yeah.
Is to continue playing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm graduating next spring with my degree, so
cool.
We'll just see how it unfolds.
All right, I appreciate it so much, and good luck, man. I appreciate it.
Tell me a little bit about how you've seen Cam Akers develop.
Hey, Elliot.
Hey,
how are you? How's everything?
Good.
Doing good.
He runs really
Nothing. I
hard.
got Rick. I needed. He's from Maryland, so I got him.
Really good.
So we're writing stories now. So.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work. So Rick, let's talk about today's performance, because I know last week with that tough loss to Miami on that last play, what was the feeling like around practice this week, getting ready for this game against a good Duke team?
Yeah, I mean it was a tough loss losing to Miami, but we had to tip our cap to them. I mean we fought hard, they fought hard. We just ran out of time, but so I mean practice was real good, energy was really good. We were ready to come out and play, and I think we played pretty well.
And you're a kid from Maryland, so how did Florida State get on your radar?
Florida State got on my radar basically by my coach.
Okay.
Coach Lanat, back in high school, he's not the head coach at Middletown anymore, but he still helps out. Coach Lanat really just sending my tape out. My father went to Florida State, so when he asked me for the schools that I was interested in, that was one of them. He was just like, where do you want me to send it? So I said, just shoot big.
Yeah.
And they answered.
Well, talk about your high school days at Middletown. What did you like about playing there, and did it help you play here?
Yeah, I loved playing at Middletown. I mean, we won. I never lost a game in high school. 28 straight, 2 state championships. They're all about toughness, effort, and pride, and I mean that's what it is, and that's what you need at the college level, and that's what a lot of guys don't get in high school so much because of how their high school program operates. But we were a real smash mouth, running at you, real tough, no tricks, just square up and play football.
Yeah. And I know this is probably the end of the year question, but what's life for you after playing here? Do you want to move on to the NFL, or do you want to?
Of course, Of course, that's a goal of mine.
Yeah.
Is to continue playing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm graduating next spring with my degree, so
cool.
We'll just see how it unfolds.
All right, I appreciate it so much, and good luck, man. I appreciate it.
Tell me a little bit about how you've seen Cam Akers develop.
Hey, Elliot.
Hey, what's going
How
on?
are you? How's everything?
Good.
Doing good.
He
What's up?
runs really
Nothing. I
hard.
just got Rick. I needed. He's from Maryland, so I got him.
Really
good.
So I needed. We're writing stories now. So
Awesome, man.
yeah, we're doing a lot.
All right, folks. All right, folks. Welcome back here. I guess Jerry DiPaola had other things to do, so we'll try to get him on next week. Right now, we're in the bullpen. We're bringing out the crafty right-hander, Matt Treconelli, who his ERA is better than the Yankees bullpen. So Matt, thanks for joining us. We took a trip down to Durham, North Carolina last weekend for Florida State and Duke, and that was your first time seeing Florida State. So how was your experience watching the Noles?
Oh, it was a great experience. I got to see Jimbo from the field and from the press box, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful, hot, sunny weather, and it was just a fantastic weekend in general. And with seeing Florida State, that just remade the weekend with seeing them play Duke, and Duke played them really tough. I kind of thought maybe Florida State would maybe win by at least two or three touchdowns, but hey, a win is a win. So it was great to see them play on the field. It was great to see them play in person on the field, and I was on the sidelines for part of the game, and I got to see them play, and it was a really, really good game. Especially that the game came down to last play when Duke threw a Hail Mary and the guy missed the pass.
Right. Well, this week your Irish are back in playing against a old rival in USC, and I talked to Clay Helton yesterday on the phone on the Pac-12 teleconference call, and I asked him, dude, that you probably listened to it. I asked him about his defense because we saw him last Saturday watching the Utah game, and their defense had to use a goal line stand to stop them. Yeah. So, that 2-point conversion. So, and I asked him, is that going to help your defense carry over to taking on the Irish? And he said, basically he thinks so. But you never, but rivalry games are rivalry games, just like Florida State and Miami a couple weeks ago. So, what's your take on USC and Notre Dame? You're a big Irish fan, but you're not sold on them yet.
That's true. I am.
Yeah.
I am a huge Irish fan, but the thing is, I'm definitely not sold on them because of the fact that they have yet to prove it to me that they can effectively throw the football. If they were able to throw the football, if one Bush was able to effectively throw, I would say, you know what, he's going to be able to beat USC. But right now, I'm iffy between the game because of the fact that they can't throw the football effectively. They can run, definitely. If you're just a one-dimensional offense, like when you face teams, like for example, Georgia, they went ahead and faced them, and they lost to them by 1 point. Right now, their only quality win is against Michigan State, which Michigan State only has one loss, and their loss came to Notre Dame when they played them. Other than that, all their other games that they won have been against teams that have sub 500 records. Right. So I'm really not sold on quite yet. I'm really interested to see how they're going to play. They gotta have a good passing game as well to beat USC. If they don't have a good passing game, I don't see them winning. Right. Because USC, they knew the Notre Dame was just going to run, or Bush is going to do a quarterback sneak or something. Then where if Bush is kind of running with the ball numerous times, then USC is going to play against it, and they're going to put 8-9 guys up in the box and go ahead and use that kind of defense. So Bush has got to prove to me that he can throw the ball. And in my opinion, Chris, I think that they should go with a dual quarterback system. That's what I feel that they should do, and I feel that they'd be more effective with the passing game that way, because I think that our quarterback that they had in there was more effective passing than Bush.
Yeah, well, let me give you a score update. The Yankees are up 4-0 on the Astros. So what about that? Change the subject. The Yankees were down 2-0, and now they have a chance to go back to Houston up 3-2.
Wow, that's interesting. And interesting because in the last series that they played Indians, they were down 2-0, and then they won the last 3 to go ahead and win that series, and then go on to the division series, and now they're down 2-0 again to the Astros, and now they're looking possibly to win 3 in a row, and then to force the series to go back to Houston.
Right.
So I think that's really interesting, which means if they can close out tonight, that means that they would have won all 3 games at New York, and they would just have to win only 1 more to go ahead and to advance to the World Series.
And they might play the Dodgers. So.
Well, I think it's good. I think that the Yankees have to close out tonight, and hopefully they can.
Yeah. Well, buddy, thanks for jumping on real quick. I got to call your Blue and Gold Illustrated guy, Lou Somogyi, to talk about the Irish. So hopefully I get some good words for you. So.
Thanks, man. Awesome.
All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with Lou here on Herb FM Sports Radio. Lou Somogyi on the phone with us, Blue and Gold Illustrated, who the Irish taking on the Trojans this weekend. Big game in South Bend. So, Lou, thanks for joining us. You just got done interviewing the players. You couldn't see practice, but what did you see? When you were talking to the players?
Well, the usual. It's business as usual. It's another game. Obviously, when it's USC, there's more attached to the rivalry and more at stake. This is the type of game. It's really a playoff elimination game for all intents and purposes. Both teams with one loss. The winner keeps its hopes alive to be able to make a college football playoff. The loser gets a second L on the resume, which pretty much knocks them out. So they know what's at stake.
The last time the Irish played USC, you guys won in 2015, and then last year you had issues out there in LA. So I guess this year will be the other way around. You guys will have, the victory.
Well, I don't know if they'll have the victory or not. They're favored.
Yeah.
At this point with the home field, and it's a completely different team from last year. That was pretty much a beaten down team going into LA last year with a 4-7 record, and just all kinds of disappointments swirling about. And USC was, at the time, playing as well as anybody in the country en route to their finishing with a 9-game winning streak. So it's not a role reversal from their game from last year, because USC is still playing well. Maybe at the beginning of the season they were rated a little higher, predicated just on how they finished last season, and they're trying to prove that, okay, we're back in that type of genre where we're one of the top 5 teams in the country and a bona-fide playoff contender. And then our game is demonstrating that, hey, last year's completely behind us, and we're looking to be back into that
shot at a playoff opportunity.
Well, this is the first of 3 at home after the bye week, so a good way to start off with a rivalry. And then you got 2 ACC schools, and an NC State squad is pretty good, and also a Wake Forest squad. So this is 3 tough games at home.
Yeah, Wake Forest, probably is not going to get the same type of notice as a USC or North Carolina State, which is ranked 16 in the country and has 6 straight victories and will be coming off a bye week themselves. But if you're able to put together back-to-back wins against number 11 and number 16 teams in the country, you can put yourself in a great position in November and for that first poll, the first college football poll, where you look at it as, okay, that these are now contenders, not pretenders.
Yeah. Well, talk about before you guys went on the bye week, you had some injuries. Winbush did not play against North Carolina. Josh Adams was dealing with some issues. How are they doing this week?
They were both in the interview room today. It started last week kind of really with Winbush. He was able to go on Wednesday and Thursday back to his old self, and now he's taking all the reps with the ones right now. So he's good to go. Brian Kelly said he's 100%, and that's not really a topic anymore. With Josh, he played against North Carolina, had a 73-yard touchdown run, but it's a precaution. It's a long season, and they just want to use him wisely in practice. We know what he can do in a game. He's got 11 runs in his career of more than 50 yards. We don't need to kill him in practice. He knows the offense and everything else, and just be at full capacity for the game.
Well, talk about Ivan Book. He filled in pretty good for the North Carolina game, and that's good to have somebody on the bench just in case Winbush has another issue.
It's good to have a start under your belt. He came on the road, but Brandon Winbush, made no mistake about it. He's the starter on this team. You always have that experience behind him, and now they have that. Yeah.
Well, I was just reading the notes. This is actually the 259th consecutive sellout there at Notre Dame Stadium. That's pretty good for having that streak going.
Whatever it means. You're going to always find empty. You can buy up the tickets, whatever else, and all. But technically, yes, that's a sellout. And I was actually way back. It shows you how old I am. I was at the last game, Thanksgiving weekend '73. When it wasn't officially a sellout, and Notre Dame won the title that year.
Wow, that's a long streak. That even beats the baseball streaks and like the Indians had for years there in Cleveland. Yeah. Well, Lou, I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate it. You write for the Blue and Gold Illustrated for Rivals.com. Any news from the recruiting trail? Do you know anything?
Well, it's going to be a big recruiting weekend, and their concentration really is trying, just filling out the class here with the last 6-7 guys, and looking for defense mainly here, cornerbacks, safeties, defensive ends, to help really round out and balance the class. Yeah. So
are they going to get any more good offensive players they need? Is there anything on the offense that they might have holes in from there?
They've basically met most of their needs. They'll always look for another receiver if it's out there and all. But they got their quarterback. They have a couple running backs, tight end. They may look for another tight end again and all. But I think most of the offense is pretty well filled out. It's the defense where they have to fill some needs. Yeah. Well,
Lou, I know you're a busy guy. You just got off of practice, interviewing the players, and you had a busy day. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I appreciate it. And good luck, and enjoy the game this week.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We'll be right back here on Herb FM Radio. folks, welcome back here to college football tonight here on Her FM Radio. This week, Delaware's taking on Richmond, and speaking of Richmond, Delaware, I had a chance to speak to Danny Rocco, who this week is taking on his former squad up there in Newark, and Her FM Radio will be there as well. We're going to have get some great photographs for our website. It's www.herbfmsportsradio.weebly.com. We are our front of our page, folks. We have decorated for Halloween, so I just want to let you know. So anyway, here is Danny Rocco.
The first question is from the line of Christopher Idle with Her Sports Radio.
Hey, Coach Rocco, how you doing?
I'm well, Chris. Thanks.
Talk about your emotions going to be this week because you're going up against an old school that you coached last year, and how are you going to keep your emotions intact for you this week, knowing that you're going to be facing your some former coaches on that Richmond squad that you was part of your staff?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we all do from week to week is just kind of remain focused on the process. Every coach has a schedule. Within that schedule, we're doing specific things each day during specific timelines, and then we're offering messages to our team throughout the course of the week. So I want to really focus in on the process, focus in on the details of doing the things that I know that I have to do. I talk all the time about how the process outweighs the event. The event will be here soon enough, and I'm really excited to have an opportunity to compete against an outstanding football team in the Richmond Spiders, and Coach Huseman has them playing extraordinarily well. Offensively, they are extremely explosive, and I think on game day, I will have some emotions and certainly have a great appreciation for my time at Richmond, and a greater appreciation for the relationships that I had built when I was the head football coach at the University of Richmond. And those student athletes, we've had a lot of success together, and I'll forever be grateful for their commitment.
And talk about their quarterback, Kyle. It seems like he's been doing really well, putting up a lot of yardage and a lot of points and all that stuff. You coached him last year. What's the difference between him from last year? I know he was injured last year, but this year it looks like he's not injured that much. What did you see on film?
Well, I think he's taken the next step in his development or his evolution in terms of his ability to be efficient, and he can make all the throws. He's one of the most competitive young people I've ever been around. I think it's really the one thing that really makes him special. And then Russ is using them a little differently than we used them last year. Our offensive style a year ago was different, So Kyle's getting more and more opportunities to kind of distribute the ball, catch and throw the ball, get the ball out into open space, and deep down the field to that talented receiving core that he has. So he's on top of his game, and certainly expect him to play well coming back up here. He's from this general area, Downtown East, suburban Philadelphia. I was actually out to dinner this summer with my wife up in Westchester, PA, and we ran into Kyle's mom and dad out there one night at the restaurant, and just kind of dawned on me just how close he is to this area here. So I know he'll be excited to get back home.
Well, I hope you have a good week of practice.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, folks, welcome back. That was Danny Rocco, the head coach of the Delaware Blue Hens. They're taking on Richmond this week. Homecoming up there, homecoming weekend at Delaware Stadium. So the game is at 3:30 this Saturday up there, and Her FM Radio will be there for this game. So I have no idea who that is. Let's see who that. Hello, this is Chris. All right, folks, we got a little change of plans here. We got Jerry DiPaola with us, the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, on with us. We tried to get him on earlier, but he had other things going on. So, Jerry, thanks for joining us. Just talk about Pitt. They're having a tough go with it this year. Last week they played an NC State squad on homecoming, and they didn't do so well. This week they play against Duke. So, what's going on with the Panthers?
Well, they're a very young defense, Chris, and that's been a problem all season. The season actually started on a bad note early on when Pat Narduzzi, by the time it was all said and done, he had to suspend 6 players either for the entire season or for a various number of games. And the biggest loss, of course, was Jordan Whitehead.
Yeah.
He missed the first 3 games. When we came back, the defense got a little bit better. It's been playing a little bit better lately. Excuse me.
Yep.
But still, they gave up 35 points at NC State. They couldn't stop Syracuse when they had to. But they lost to Syracuse by the same exact score that Clemson lost to Syracuse. I don't know what that means. It's sort of a mathematical anomaly, I guess. But they've had some problems. In the quarterback position has been maybe their second biggest problem. Started out with Max Brown, the transfer from USC. He got benched, actually, for Ben DiNucci in the Georgia Tech game. Ended up playing the Georgia Tech game. Neither quarterback was playing very well at the time. Brown came back the next week and started and played very well against Rice. You could probably find 11 guys out of your office there and played pretty well against Rice. And then against Syracuse, he broke his collarbone.
Oh, wow.
Had surgery out for the season. So now it's Ben DiNucci and the freshman Kenny Pickett, which set up a kind of an interesting situation with Pickett. I don't know if you heard it in the Syracuse game. The very next to the last play of the game, DiNucci's helmet came off. So, of course, he had to sit out one play. He had no timeout, so if they had to put Pickett into the game, that was the second time in the game that DiNucci's helmet came off. First time they had to call a timeout, so they wouldn't have to, waste Pickett's red shirt.
Right.
Second time they had no choice. Pickett came in through one pass. The game ended. So then last week against NC State, DiNucci starts. Throws a touchdown pass early. They're losing 21-14. They're an interception in the third quarter, but they're only losing 21-14 late in the third quarter. He puts Pickett in for 3 series.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, NC State goes crazy, scores 2 more touchdowns to put the game away. And I think that maybe he used Pickett because he didn't want to waste a red shirt. And now, he's already wasted the red shirt. But DiNucci is a starter, but he's also one. Narduzzi won't admit this, but he's also one I think is a short leash. If he doesn't play well early in the Duke game, I think Pickett could play the second half.
Yeah, I had a chance to see Duke last Saturday. I went down to the Florida State game, and they hung in with the Seminoles. Except for they did a halfback pass. Wilson did, and it got intercepted. If they completed that pass, I think Duke would have took the lead. And I asked Jimbo after the game. I said, "Was that the turning point?" And he goes, "Yeah, that is the turning point because if they caught that pass, the Florida State would have lost that game, and Duke would have ended their 2-game losing streak. Now they have a 3-game losing streak."
They would have been 5-2.
Yeah.
We're still alive in the Coastal Division.
Yeah.
I watched the Miami Duke game. I was on TV a few weeks ago, and I thought that Duke hung with Miami for most of that game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Miami pulled away late, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So.
Duke used to be a formidable opponent for Pitt, but everybody is a formidable opponent for Pitt these days because Pitt just isn't playing very well.
Right. Exactly.
Defense is improving. The offensive line's been a big problem too.
Yeah.
They've already given up 19 sacks, which is the same number of sacks that Duke has given up. But
Right.
they already got one quarterback hurt and out for the season because the offensive line wasn't doing its job.
Yeah. Well, Pitt's 2-5. Can they salvage something to get to a bowl game, or basically that's out of the question?
They got to win. They could do that. They got to win 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
But after Duke, they got Virginia, North Carolina. They got to go to Virginia Tech and then Miami. Now 3 of those games, other than Virginia Tech, are at home. But still, they got to play Virginia Tech and Miami. Those are ranked teams, probably the 10 or 15 among the 10 or 15 top teams in the country.
Right.
Virginia's having a great season.
Yeah.
They're 5-1, right? So Pitt has a real tough schedule after the Duke game, and Duke is going to be a tough opponent for them also. I can't imagine Pitt winning 4 of his last 5 games. After now, they've lost 5 of their first 7. So it looks like this will be the first year since probably the first year in 10 years they won't be going to a bowl game.
Yeah. Well, plus you got North Carolina. Yes, they're 1-6, but they could still, it's a Thursday night game, and they could still give Pitt, some problems. Yeah.
North Carolina's probably saying the same thing. We have Pitt. There's a winnable game for us. And the Pitts might say the same thing about North Carolina. But that's going to be a game that it'll be for last place. If it goes to the division problem, the loser goes into stays in last place.
Yeah. Well, what is the shocking team that you see this year in the ACC? What is the team that stood out? They're like, wow, we didn't think that's going to happen in July when we were down in the ACC kickoff.
Well,
some people
Virginia. Virginia started out. I watched them on TV. They went to Boise State and won, right? And,
yeah.
Boise State never loses at home, but Virginia beat them. And I remember talking to the coach at Virginia.
Bronco.
Mendenhall, right?
Yeah.
And Bronco Mendenhall early last season, and he seemed like a guy that really, had a lot of enthusiasm, really putting a priority on football for the players and making them feel like they were part of something big, and something big was going to happen. Now it's happening right now for Virginia. They're 5-1, 5-1 or maybe even 6-1. I'm not even sure. But they have some tougher games coming up too. But they're playing much better. Virginia was always a game that fans thought that its team could win. Now this game coming up next week, it's a home game here in Pittsburgh, is not an easy victory anymore. So the Coastal Division seems like it's improved this year with Miami, looking into their top 10 team, looking to win its first ACC championship. Virginia Tech, of course, is very good defense there, good quarterback. It's a tough division, and a tougher division than it was when Pitt first entered it.
Yeah.
They entered the conference, and Pat Narduzzi, won 8 games his first 2 years at Pitt. He's not going to win 8 games this year, and he's probably going to lose. He's probably going to lose 8 games, I would think, maybe even more than that, unless he really turns things around here in the second part of the season, which I really don't see happening because number one thing they can't do, Chris, they can't run the ball anymore.
Right.
The running game has totally disappeared. Last 4 games, they played Jordan Whitehead, their all ACC safety running back. In the last 4 games, every game he's played this season, he's been the leading rusher. Wow. And that's not a good sign when your safety's your leading rusher.
Well, you saw NC State last week. They have to play Clemson in 2 weeks, and that could be for the winner to go to Charlotte because, winner takes that. If NC State wins that, they beat Clemson, they beat Florida State, and they beat Louisville. So I think they will be the one representing the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, that would be a change in the guard. That's for sure. I still think Clemson, even though they lost to Syracuse, I still think Clemson is going to pull through it and win that Atlantic Division in the ACC.
Yeah.
Mark that down. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well, Mark, we'll talk about that when it comes to, we'll have you on afterwards, and we'll see if we were right. So, well, Jerry, I appreciate you joining me tonight. I know it's a Wednesday night. I know you're a busy guy, and are you heading down to Durham this weekend?
No, I'm not. I won't be at the game this week, but I'll be on my couch watching it on TV.
That works. The ESPN app, right?
I don't need the app. I'll just be on the TV.
Oh, that works.
It's a local broadcast here.
That works. Well, that's Jerry DiPaola, from the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. So, Jerry, thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you a little more during the season.
My pleasure, Chris. Call anytime.
All right. We'll be right back here on Herb FM Radio. All right, Jerry, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
football tonight here on Herb FM Sports Radio. We're just waiting for the commissioner of the Colonial Athletic Conference in the second year, Joe D'Antonio. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll have Geno Miller, the New Hampshire football player from Port Washington, Maryland, who played his college ball in Virginia, but we'll talk to him about him playing against Towson this week. That's at 8 o'clock. At 8:15, Jay Colley, the voice of the William & Mary football. And then we'll wrap up the show with Quinlan, the Georgia Tech writer down there. We can talk about some little Yellow Jackets. Hopefully they get better and they take on Wake Forest this week. So, folks, if you want to send us a text message, you have any questions you want me to try to answer for college football here at the ACC or the CAA, it's great to have Jerry DiPaola on. You can text us at 443-567-0746. We will hopefully talk to if you have any questions or if you just want to, ask some answers from, give me your predictions. You can just text us at 443-567-0746, or you can email us at herbfmsportsradio@gmail.com if you're listening to us wherever you are. If you're listening to us in Newark or in Pittsburgh or in South Bend, Indiana, or you listen to us in Raleigh or in Louisville, thanks for joining us here on Herb FM Sports Radio. We'll be this week. We'll be at Delaware next week. We were supposed to go to JMU versus William & Mary, but we have some situations we have to take care of here. So next week we'll see JMU taking on New Hampshire at 3:30 down there in beautiful Harrisonburg, Virginia. Next week, Herb FM Sports Radio will be doing their show live from McCaskiesville, Virginia, aka my parents' bedroom, upstairs in the new house there at Massanutten. We'll have some interviews from Towson practice next Tuesday, and then we'll have some interviews for we'll hopefully get some JNU players, and we'll get we'll put some of our post-game interviews from this Saturday's Delaware versus Richmond game that we're going to be covering as well. So that's next. We're going to put it on next Wednesday. So here it will be right here. Is the coach, and hold on one second. We'll get Jerry on. Hold on one second, folks. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming on. All right, folks, welcome back. We got the commissioner of the Colonial Athletic Conference with us, Joe D'Antonio, with us. Joe, thanks for joining us. Year number 2 for you, being there, the commissioner at the Colonial Athletic Conference. So let's talk about last week. The conference got spotlighted on the College Game Day on ESPN. So how's life going to be being the commissioner of this beautiful league?
Well, first and foremost, Chris, nice to speak with you. Thanks for having me on. Very much appreciated. And things are going very well right now. We're very fortunate. We have 6 teams ranked in the top 25 of the FCS football poll. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, just tremendous exposure for the league last week with game day being at JMU to feature the JMU Villanova game. JMU has obviously won 18 straight games, and it's a top Division I right now with the longest Division I winning streak. So a lot of positives happening for the conference at the present time, and I'm just very lucky to be a part of it.
Well, are you surprised with Elon being such a good team this year? Because last year they struggled, and this year they're actually at the top of the tier of the league.
Well, here's what's interesting with the Elon situation. And, sometimes you never know what can make a team click or why teams are really good one year and maybe down on different years. But I'll draw a comparison. Mike Houston comes into JMU last year, brings his thoughts, his ideas, his philosophies, and basically changes the culture of the program. Not to say that the previous coach didn't have the right culture, but Mike inserted his own culture and look at the success that they've had. Yeah. You fast forward to this year with a team like Elon, which certainly they've added some players. There's no question about that, but they're essentially, as you said, a team that's similar to the team they had last year. But Kurt's brought in his plan, his culture, the way he wants to run things, how he wants to motivate the players. And it's not that the previous coach had a bad plan, but for whatever reason, Kurt's plan seems to be working. And as a result of that, you see them sitting at 3-0 in the league with a 5-1 overall record.
Yeah, and also Kurt brings his stops along the way because he was in Alabama with Nick Saban and he was in the NFL. Plus, his father is a Hall of Fame coach in West Virginia, so he learned a lot of stuff from really good coaches.
No question. I mean, there's certainly a football pedigree there, and when you talk about somebody being a football guy, Kurt's a football guy through and through. All you have to do is sit with him for about 10 minutes. And you come away with that impression.
Yeah, we had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and he was like, he doesn't really like to talk to people. And he was asking me like, how long is this? Can I get off the air? I'm like, okay, I'll let you go. Yeah, So it's okay. A lot of people just like to be together. Keep their own selves together. Even if they're in a high price, high whatever job like Elon.
He's focused, that's for sure. There's no question. You won't find a more focused person.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about New Hampshire. They're doing, they're back after last week they had a tough loss to Stony Brook, so they got to play Towson this week. So, what do you see up there in New Hampshire?
Yeah, they've had a real interesting year. They opened the year with literally the first CAA game of the year at home against Maine, and they come out of there with a nice win on a missed extra point. I wouldn't call it the greatest played game in the world in terms of how the game was played on the field, but it was a scrappy game, and they came out with a nice W. Then they go up to Georgia Southern, who is you and your listeners know is a Division I FBS team, and they get a solid win up there with 22-12. And then they come back and they go up to Holy Cross, and I would say they had a blip on the radar there. That was one of those games. I wasn't at the game, but from what I heard, it was just one of those games for a team where if something is going to go wrong, it can go wrong. And that's what I think happened in the Holy Cross game. Then they come back with two more wins, one a league win against Rhode Island, and then and another solid win against Bryant, a non-league game against an FCS opponent. And then they go up to Stony Brook last week, and they lose that game 38-24, but let's also keep in mind, Stony Brook's got a really nice team.
Yeah.
And, that's a game that I think either one of those teams could have come out victorious. And it was fortunate for Stony Brook, they came out on the winning side. But certainly not all is lost for New Hampshire. They have their work cut out for them. They have Towson, JMU, William and Mary, Elon, and Albany. So they got their work right in front of them. But if they take care of business, they're going to be in a good spot.
Well, talk about the game this weekend. I'm going up to Delaware to watch Delaware and Richmond, and Danny Rocco, who I talked to somebody down there in Richmond last week that he was basically almost going to be forced out last year, and he just took the job at Delaware to get out of town.
Yeah, I can't confirm.
Yeah.
I can't confirm that. I don't know anything about that situation. But what I can tell you is Danny's not only is a great football coach, he's a great person.
Yeah.
And I'd say the same exact thing about Russ Huesman. I've been very fortunate to get a chance to spend some time with Russ and think the world of him as well. And I know the kids on the team think the world of him. So I don't know exactly what transpired or what happened.
Yeah.
But what I do know is I think both schools ended up in a really good spot. Danny's in a good spot. Delaware seems to have them playing well. Russ is in a good spot trying to put his systems and programs into place at Richmond, and is obviously operating with one of the best quarterbacks in FCS in Kyle Aletta. So
yeah.
I think it worked out well for both programs.
And I talked to Danny on Coach Rocco on Monday, and I asked him, "Do you have a lot of pressure on yourself because you want to play really good against Richmond and show them like, I'm up here now, and like a lot of people like to have one of those like I'm up here now, but I can still put a little thorn in you a little bit. Everybody does that. Everybody wants revenge, pretty much.
Well, I think that's just human nature. Once if you've been in a place and you get a chance to compete against them, which I think happens in football all the time as coaches move around, certainly there's probably a little bit more oomph as you go into some of those games because you always want to do well against teams you've been at before.
Yeah. Well, just talk about where are you going this week? Because I know you're the traveling commissioner and you go all over the place. Where's the commissioner going this week?
Well,
this particular week, I am very fortunate to be heading up to Albany.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to spending some time up there with the Danes. And it should be a really good game. I believe they have, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have UNH. And it should certainly be. Oh, sorry, no, I'm mistaken. They have Maine.
Yeah.
It's Albany, Maine. And it'll be exciting to be up there. It's a nice atmosphere in Albany. They have a really nice stadium, and they're definitely committed. And I think that Coach Gattuso certainly has that program headed in the right direction. I believe they were receiving votes this week, just out of the top 25. I had a big win against Villanova at home a couple of weeks ago, and I like what Coach Gattuso is doing with the program.
And they have two good running backs, because I saw them at Morgan State this year, the second game of the year, and they, after they played Old Dominion, so they shut out Morgan State, so they have two good running backs.
No question. A very talented team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I'm going to call you Coach. Commissioner, you should be a coach of the league, Yeah. What team would you coach if you get an opportunity to coach? What team would you do?
Oh, you put me on the spot, Chris. I'm not going to pick one team.
Right.
I just think we're very fortunate to have a great league top to bottom.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you joining me on a Wednesday night. I appreciate it live here on Herb FM Radio, and I hope to see you. I'm going to next week to JMU to see them play New Hampshire, so I don't know. I might run into you.
Yeah, you never know where I'm going to be week to week. I'm not at the present time. I can tell you, I'm not scheduled to be at that game on the 28th. I'm scheduled to be in Towson.
Okay.
For Towson, Delaware, but occasionally plans change, so I'm sure we'll see at some point down the road, and I appreciate you having me on tonight.
No problem. That's the Commissioner of the CAA, Joe D'Antonio, with us, and we'll be right back with Geno Miller, one of the players from New Hampshire who's from Maryland, right here on Herb FM Radio. We'll be right back. Hold on 1 second here. Folks, welcome back to College Football Tonight here on Herb FM Radio. We're getting to the top of the hour, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time. p.m., 6 p.m. Mountain, or 5 p.m. Pacific. Coming up here in the 8 o'clock hour, we have Geno Miller, the New Hampshire football player from Port Washington, Maryland. He went to school down there in Alexandria, Virginia. We're going to talk to him about playing against Towson this week. At 8:15, Jay Colley, the voice of the William & Mary football, will be on at 8:15 to talk about their matchup against the number one team in the country, JMU Dukes. And then Quinlan, the the Georgia Tech writer for the Yellow Jackets, will be on at the 8:25. This weekend on Herb FM Radio, you can listen to we have some interviews that we're going to be playing. I had a privilege to speak to Wake Forest's coach Dave Colson today on the ACC teleconference call, and also I had a chance to talk to Paul Johnson on the phone as well, the head coach of Georgia Tech. Plus, we'll have interviews with Richmond's head coach Russ Hootsman. We'll play his interview we did on Monday, and also we'll have a special interview. We have Gene Deckenhoff, the voice of the Florida State Seminoles, on tomorrow. We'll be doing the interview tomorrow. You can hear it this weekend right here on Herb FM on Sports Radio on Speaker.com. Folks, we're almost at the end of October. It's the middle of the month. Next week we'll be down in McCaskiesville, Virginia for the JMU versus New Hampshire game. We'll have Coach Sean McDonald, the head coach of New Hampshire, on the phone with us down there in McCaskiesville. Plus, we'll have some JMU players, and hopefully we get some more JMU stuff as well. So that's our McCaskiesville office. That's what I call it. So we're going to get set and wait for Geno Miller to give us a call here at 8 o'clock. And we're waiting for Mike Murphy to do that for us, the honors. So we'll be right back here on Herb FM Sports Radio on Speaker.com. Folks, welcome back to the College Football Tonight, and we have New Hampshire's safety, the senior safety from New Hampshire, from Port Washington, Maryland, Geno Miller, with us. Geno, thanks for joining us. You went to school in Alexandria, Virginia, so did you live in Maryland for a while, or you lived in Virginia before how did that all happen?
Well, first of all, Chris, thank you for having me on here. But yeah, I actually live in Port Washington, Maryland.
Okay.
And I still live in Port Washington, Maryland. I went to Bishop Ireton High School in Alexandria, Virginia, my senior year.
Okay. All right, that's cool. So how was that experience down there in Alexandria, Virginia for that high school?
Say that one more time?
How was that experience like playing high school football down there?
Oh, it was when I went to the school, it was a rebuilding period.
Okay.
But it was definitely a fun time. We had some good athletes. It was a good conference that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
So the development period was definitely something to be reckoned with in that school. Where the school is now is much farther than where it was when I was there.
Okay.
They've been in the state championships, I believe, twice now since I graduated. So they've definitely come a long way.
Wow. Well, talk about how did a kid from Port Washington, Maryland, go to New Hampshire? How did New Hampshire get on your radar?
Well, yeah, that is a good question. Well, when I was in high school and I was getting recruited, honestly, I remember getting called out of class to talk to a scout from New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
And instantly I thought, oh, well, I've never heard of this school before, so I was was intrigued to see what they had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started talking to them, it was instantly a click. They saw my film. They liked what they saw. They liked what they saw in my games, and I felt like I was at home from there. I talked to the coaches. It seemed like we had a lot of the same values and characteristics, and they kept it real with me. They didn't sugarcoat anything, and I valued that a lot. So that's really the story about it.
Yeah, talk about Coach Mack. He seems like a cool guy. You know, on the field he's fired up, but off the field he seems like he's like a father figure to everybody up there. So, what is it? Just talk about the difference between him on the field and off the field.
Oh yeah, Coach Mack. Coach Mack does his job very, very, very well. And on the field, to people that don't know him, it may look like he's an angry guy all the time. But off the field and even on the field for us, we understand where he's coming from, and it's passion. It's all passion.
Yeah.
And he yells because he cares. He gets on us because he cares, and even off the field when we want to talk to him privately for whatever reason it may be. Maybe it's a personal matter, or maybe it's something to do with football that the team, whatever it may be for benefit of the team. But he's always willing to listen. He's always in our corner at the end of the day. And Coach Mack, I can't say enough good things about Coach Mack in the way that he approaches his players and the team as well. So Coach Mack, he's definitely someone that I look up to.
And I know he had a birthday on over the weekend. So what did you guys do for his birthday?
Honestly, I don't think he's a big birthday person, if that makes sense. I mean, I told him happy birthday, and he kind of gave me the thank you, But, But Coach Mack, he's about his business, and I'm sure that he did something for his birthday, but I cannot tell you what it was.
Nice.
So I mean, no, but yeah, I mean that Sunday we actually didn't have practice, surprisingly. So
Oh wow.
so I mean, I guess that's a gift, but
That sounds like that gift that keeps on giving. No practice. Yeah. This week you guys are playing Towson. What's it like playing against a Maryland school? I know Towson is, in Boulder County, and you lived down in the PG area and all that stuff. I know you don't have any. What's it like playing against a Maryland school?
it's definitely a game that I go into, and I know I have to perform well just because one, like you said, it's a Maryland school, and two, because I know so many players on the team. And yeah, I mean, I know a couple of receivers that play for them, and a couple other guys that I work out with when I'm at home and grew up with. So it's always competitive, and if something happens where I make a good play, I'm the first one to call them after the game and say, hey, did you see that? But also if I make a bad play, I'm the first one to call me and say, what happened? So, and it's a healthy competitive relationship, and that's what I like about it the most. And they approach it the same way. We push each other from a distance, and even when we don't play each other, we're always checking in on each other, making sure everyone's doing well, keeping their head on straight, staying on the right path, all of those things. So it's definitely a blessing to be able to play friends and some people I would consider family at least once a year. So that's definitely something that I look forward to this Saturday.
Yeah, and plus you guys are coming off a tough loss to Stony Brook, and I guess you guys want to get better and keep that winning streak at home, pretty well.
Right. Yeah, and that's the number one priority.
Yeah.
We have to win at home. We protect this house. That's just what we do. So.
Yeah. What is life after football for you? Are you going to try to get to the next level? Because I know the draft this year is down. The NFL draft is in Texas this year. They just said that this year, today. So, what's your life for you after football?
Yeah, after football, for me, that is the goal. God willing, I will be playing at the next level. But I also have a couple startup companies I have in effect right now. So that's what I've been working on for the last 3 years is those companies. But also, my dream ever since I've been a kid was to go to the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like I know that I'm very capable of doing. So that's really my mission that I want to accomplish.
Yeah. One story I like about Coach Mack, I want to share with you. He's a huge Met fan. and I'm a Met fan too, and it's pretty interesting. A guy who's up in New Hampshire, along with all the Red Sox people, still celebrates the Mets. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's something about Coach Matt. Honestly, that doesn't surprise me because I know he's from New York,
Yeah.
and he's a very loyal guy, and he's a very, very loyal guy. So that doesn't surprise me at all that he'll be a Mets fan in New Hampshire. But I've also never heard him talk about being a Mets fan, so that doesn't surprise me either. The fact that he loves this football program in the state so much at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is an interesting fact.
Yeah. Well, go. You have practice with him tomorrow, right?
Yes, I do.
Ask him tomorrow, and and I'll talk to him next week and see what his reaction was. Yeah. Ask him about the Mets and ask him one question about what do they need to do about the pitching staff and see how far he goes in detail if he's in a good mood to talk to you about it.
Yeah, what you said about the pitching staff?
Yeah, about the pitching staff. What do we need to do? Because I'm a Met fan too. Like, what do we need to get better next year?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna ask you that. I don't watch baseball too much, but I did see some highlights of the game last night.
Yeah, the Yankees
So
and yeah,
yeah, I'll bring that up to him tomorrow before practice to see, or after practice, because
yeah,
he'll be before practice. But
yeah. Well, Gino, it's a pleasure talking to you. You sound like you're going to have some good times playing against Towson, and hopefully you could make it to the next level. And I hope to see you next Saturday because I'm actually going to head on down to see JMU versus you guys, and
oh,
that should be a good game next weekend.
oh yeah, that's gonna be a big game. That's gonna be a huge game, and yeah, it's another school actually that I know a lot of players on the team, ironically. So
Yeah.
but no, I look forward to seeing you as well,
All
and
right.
yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. That's Geno Miller, who comes from Port Washington, Maryland, and he plays for New Hampshire. And we'll be right back here on College Football Tonight. All right, folks. Welcome back to the College Football Tonight here on a Wednesday night, and we have the voice of the William and Mary football, Jay Colley, with us. We had him on a couple weeks ago on our, in the afternoon. Jay, thanks for joining us. The last time I talked to you, you guys were taking on Stony Brook, And ever since then, you guys lost 3 in a row. So what do you guys have to do to turn around against the #1 team in the country?
Well, maybe not do this interview. Clearly, it was a bad omen there, Chris. But
Yeah.
seriously, this James Madison team has no weaknesses, according to anybody that knows football and has seen them play. And Tribe fans are hoping for their C game. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tribe's going to play a better than best game of their season. So there's a lot of things going on in this weekend's game. Homecoming, 2017 for Tribe fans, so they're expecting close to a sellout, if not a sellout. Madison coming to town is the #1 team in the country with the longest winning streak, is certainly a formidable opponent. So it's one of those things where it's all those cliches about the backs against the wall, and it's a time of urgency. It's gonna take quite a performance for the Tribe to win this ball game.
So what? Last week you guys shut out at Delaware. What happened up there in Delaware? Because I was down in Durham.
Brand new quarterback, Sean Mitchell starting, true freshman. So you had those growing pains to learn through, and it's certainly not blaming Sean at all. I thought anyway, had a formidable opponent for a first time. But let's give credit where credit is due. Delaware has one of the best defensive teams in this league this particular year. That's one of their strengths for Delaware. Matter of fact, we could be still playing in overtime because neither team had a tremendous outing on offensive side of the football. But I think Delaware had 195 total yards, and the Tribe had 196. So it was not exactly blowing it up offensively, but the Tribe just made too many errors in the special teams particularly, and gave the Blue Hens a short field.
Well, talk about this game. This is one of the Commonwealth games for you guys, because James Madison's from Harrisonburg. You guys, play each other almost every year. So just talk about this. It's a state rivalry, pretty much.
Yeah, there are. To me, I've been around doing this game for 35 years, and back in the day when we played James Madison, it was I think the facts are that the Tribe gave James Madison their first opportunity to play a Division I program in the state. They started football in the 70s, and I don't know that they had necessarily a hard time getting games, but certainly Division I opponents were difficult to get on the schedule. So William and Mary gave them a chance, and look what they've done with that opportunity. They've run with it. But it's a big game. It's a big game because you recruit against teams like Richmond and Madison and Delaware, for that matter. I think those are kind of the big four FCS teams in our immediate market. Elon is certainly coming on, but it's a rivalry game, and it should be a fun one in that regard.
Well, just talk about JMU. Is this the best CAA football team you've ever seen in this conference?
Well, I haven't seen them yet. I'll tell you Monday, but I would tell you that if they're anything like last year, I thought they were unstoppable last season. And the Tribe. I talked to Coach Houston earlier this week, and of course, that's what he's preaching to his team. This William and Mary bunch nearly, with just a couple of plays, driving on them last year to win the ball game up there, the Tribe over James Madison, but clearly did not do that. But Coach Houston was quoted as saying that at the end of the year, the Tribe gave them their best game, maybe even all into the playoffs. But certainly with 9 returning starters on defense and a flat-out All-American quarterback, they tend to have, like I said at the top, they tend to not have any weaknesses.
Yeah. Well, James Madison, having that winning streak, and plus being on College game day last week, that must have helped really much boost this league pretty well.
I'm hoping they are still getting over a hangover, not literally, but figuratively, after all the excitement from last year for the Tribe. Maybe they're overlooking William and Mary this weekend, but no, it is. They had game day a couple of years ago, and I'm not necessarily sure. That kind of is the talk, easy talk. Oh man, that really helps the league. I think unquestionably it helps James Madison, but I don't know about the league necessarily, and that may be kind of anti-league talk. But you asked me my opinion. I don't see any direct result of people that say, I want to play football at William & Mary because James Madison was on game day. But certainly, no question, it helps Madison.
Did it when you guys were on game day a couple of years ago? Did it help you guys? Because I know you guys were the opponent. Did it help William & Mary out?
Actually, a couple of years ago, it was Richmond.
Richmond. Forgot.
It was Richmond, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, it could have. I mean, I don't want to downplay it. I mean, anytime. I mean, anytime, maybe even. Gosh, the SEC and the ACC, when game day goes to those universities, it helps. It certainly gets your fan base intrigued, and it brings out people that may or may not be sports fans all the time because ESPN is rolling to town. But so I don't want to downplay it at all. I just don't think it's going to have a whole lot to do with this weekend's game. Let's just put it that way.
Right. What are the 3 keys for you guys? You want like to see with William & Mary to pull out a victory and snap this.
Oddly enough, I think we need to win the punting battle. We need our punter cannot allow James Madison to get short fields, and vice versa. I mean, if Madison's kicker continues to put that ball inside the 20, and a couple of in this 3-game losing streak, seems like there's been 3 or 4 inside the 5-yard line.
Right.
And with the Tribe's offense, you're just not going to go 95 yards this year. So I think that field position, if you will, not let me blame it or put it all on one man, but let's just say that the field position game has got to be in the Tribe's favor. Clearly, as always, when you try to upset a team, you've got to have some turnovers. Either they going in and you stop a drive with a big turnover, maybe get some momentum, or more appropriately or more beneficially, you get them to fumble the ball and give you a real short 5 or 10-yard field to go in. And you also can't drop passes. I mean, offensively, if you get some drives going and you have a drop pass or 2 to kill a drive, that would be I think that's kind of a off the wall maybe key to a game. And I think the Tribe can come up with some timely receptions, play the field position game, and maybe get some key turnovers that may be closer than people think.
Yeah, and I know James Madison has a running back who came from Georgia Tech, and his father played at James Madison, so that's and he's a good running back too.
He's very good. I mean, they had a great one last year, and they filled in a guy that I think led Georgia Tech last year in running. I mean, it just never ends again. And you think, okay, they're graduating their all CAA running back. Maybe they'll be a little weak in that category. But it all begins with Brian Shore. He is superb, and their quarterback is just off the wall good.
Yeah. Well, Jay, it sounds like it's going to be an exciting game, so we can't make a trip down there, but I hope to see you at the end of the year against Richmond, and that'll be a good game. Yeah.
All right, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's Jay Colley, the voice of the William & Mary Tribe football, and we'll be right back here on Herb FM. Folks, we're going to wrap up the show with Kelly Quinlan, one of the writers for Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets are at home this week against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. So, Kelly, thanks for joining us. Talk about last week's game in Miami. You guys had a lead, and also the skies opened up. A big downpour came, and then you guys lost. So, what What does Georgia Tech have to do to rebound from that tough loss?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird game. They had a kind of monsoon-like condition in the middle of the game, and then what was already bad footing got even worse, and defense made a couple mistakes down the stretch, and boom, 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 you lose a game on the last second field goal. So, the mood's been pretty positive of the team this week at Georgia Tech. They're getting a night game at home against Wake Forest, who haven't played since 2010. So I think that they're going to be pretty fired up for that. And I think that, it's an interesting matchup. Wake's kind of a tough, feisty team. They're difficult to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they match up with them. But, the two losses were both the top 25 teams at the time. Both, basically Georgia Tech's led for all but 4 seconds of this season, so they could easily be 5-0 right now.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of kind of positive momentum for the team going into the stretch of ACC games here.
Yeah, I thought you guys had you had that last week with Miami. They did that fake punt, and you guys you picked it up and ran it into the end zone, picked it off. So I thought that was the turning point for you guys to pull that win out before the rain started.
Yeah, they came out of the half and did the onside, and it didn't work, and the guy returned it because it didn't go 10 yards. He's able to pick it up and just walk in because the Miami players can touch it. And, yeah, it seemed like they kind of put the game away at that point, and then they just really couldn't get anything going offensively in the second half. Missed a couple key plays. They had two kind of like key third down plays where guys just slipped. Literally, like the lead blocker on a play fell just face first on the ground trying to cut to go block a guy, and then on another play, a receiver just slipped and fell. It would have been wide open for possibly a touchdown. So, yeah, it was just kind of bad luck, and it was funny. Mark Richt apologized to Paul Johnson before the game because of how bad the field was there. It's kind of weird in a pro stadium to see it not handle rain very well. But, it's kind of the way things go. Sometimes they've had a lot of tough luck down there, so yeah, they got to try to get back on board as they play the two crossover games, Wake Forest this week and the next week at Clemson at night as well.
Yeah, and both are primetime games, so that's pretty good for the program having a primetime game this Saturday and next Saturday.
Yeah, it's kind of a showcase game. The ACC, puts Clemson on a night next week against Georgia Tech, hoping that basically that maybe Clemson can kind of regain whatever mojo they have in terms of being a national team again. So it'll be kind of interesting. Georgia Tech's one of the few teams that's had success against Dabo Swinney during his time in the ACC. So that remains a kind of interesting game. And then, obviously Wake Forest this week's kind of interesting just because these two teams haven't played each other since Clawson got there, Wake Forest. And so it'll be interesting to see what his defense does and how they play. And they're coming off back-to-back losses to Florida State and Clemson.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Let's talk about John Wolford, the quarterback for Wake Forest. I don't know if he's starting. I think he was injured, or he's starting, or he had, I don't know what his conditions are. So, what do you think? What do you see on him?
My understanding is he's healthy now. He was about 85% for the Clemson game. They decided not to subject him to that. Clemson's so good defensively that they may have knocked him out for the year had he played in that game and not been 100%. So with Kendall Hinton, he did a good job. I think that, the hook's still there if Wolford reverts to his old self, but he's played really well this year for them. He's kind of mastered the offense, and that makes him very difficult for teams to defend. I think that, kind of looking at what they do offensively, they try to get balls in their playmakers' hands. They try not to turn it over. Cam Serenay, the tight end, is a pretty dynamic guy, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how they choose to attack Georgia Tech. And then the big key kind of for them is their defense. Can their linebackers and secondary guys clean up against Paul Johnson's triple option? If they don't do that, then it could be an ugly day for Wake Forest because they haven't really played a dynamic offense yet this year. That's kind of the one thing I'm sort of curious about as well, because Georgia Tech's pretty good on offense. All the teams they play, including Clemson and Florida State, are just not very good this year offensively. BC's not good. App is okay. So, where are they at in terms of their defense? It's a first year, a new coordinator, so, a lot of unknowns for Wake Forest, even still midway through the season in terms of where they kind of fit into this ACC puzzle.
And talk about Marshall, your quarterback. He could throw what? He only threw like what? He was 3 for 7 for 56 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good if you just could do that and just run the football.
Yeah, he's very good around the football. He can throw though, and really they just couldn't throw the ball after the half because of the weather. Like the weather was so bad, he had a couple drop balls. One play where a guy slipped, so they just weren't able to throw the ball. Paul Johnson said he'd like to get the ball in the air a little bit more. Taquan's been really efficient with it this year in terms of throwing.
Yeah.
And I think the weather's supposed to be pretty nice in Atlanta. I think that they'll have an opportunity to make some plays on Saturday.
I was hearing on the teleconference call there was some reporter asked about they wanted. I think Urban Meyer was talking about capping night games. Like said, like you should have like 4 or 5 night games and that's it for the season. Do you believe in that?
To me, I think they're a lot more fun for the fans. I think they're more fun for the players. They're not fun for the coaches, which is why, if it was up to Paul Johnson, he'd probably play at 9:30 in the morning. But and most coaches I know are like that too. Charlie Strong in South Florida, Mark Richt, all those guys, they like playing early in the morning because it kind of goes into their routines. And so, when you work a night game. And think about it, if you lose that night game, that guy's not sleeping that night, basically, whatever the coach is. So it's kind of a tough situation. I understand why someone like Coach Meyer would want that, but I think it's bad for the game. I think it's a lot of fun for the fans. They get more jacked up. You have time to tailgate, have fun. Mm-hmm. And then go watch the game, which is what people like to do. It's one of the special things about college football that differentiates it from the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. To Georgia Tech, are they still mathematically still in the Coastal Division race, or are they with that loss to Miami? They kind of
Well, so all right, the only way they're out is if Miami wins out.
Okay.
So Miami would have to win. The Tech has one loss in the division. Mm-hmm. Everyone else except for Virginia, I think, has a loss at this point now. So Georgia Tech will play Virginia in a few weeks. If they beat them and Virginia beats Miami, that sets up a weird tiebreaker scenario. There really hadn't been a team since they started the Coastal Division that's not had at least 2 losses. So and that Miami team looked kind of flawed to me from what I saw. They're definitely not Clemson of last year or something where they're just going to roll people the rest of the year. So. Yeah. To me, I think that, it's very much still alive, the opportunity for Georgia Tech to get to the ACC championship, especially if they just went out.
Exactly. Well, Kelly, I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you joining me tonight, wrapping up the show, and I hope you enjoyed this week's game against Wake Forest, and I hope to talk to you more throughout the year, and maybe hopefully some miracle we'll see you in Charlotte.
All right, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us tonight here on Herb FM Radio. We'll be back next week at the same time from Cactusville, Virginia. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, man.
All right.